Well, it's time now for a look through the papers. I'm joined here in the studio by Diptyque Laurent. Hello to you, Diptyque. You're looking at reactions to yesterday's failed coup in Gabon.
That's right, that failed coup that led to the arrest of the ringleaders hours later. We've been looking at the local press in the region there. Aujourd'hui au Faso, wondering if this failed coup targeted democracy or the president, Ali Bongo himself, whom the paper calls the, quote, sick daddy's boy, who only came to power after his father and the former president died. For a Burkinabe news website called Wakatsera, this is a gentle warning to the president of perhaps what's to come, what's lying ahead, reminding us that this attempted takeover took place while he was in Morocco seeking medical help after a stroke. Whether that takeover succeeded or not is not important, because the attempt itself shows that there's a real crisis in Gabon, and the website really condemning this attempt to take power unconstitutionally, but saying that the path to democracy should be accessible to all.
All right, well, a lot of reactions also to the plight of an 18-year-old Saudi woman who says she's fleeing family abuse.
That's right. Her story really making the front pages of the Thai papers today, in particular the Bangkok Post. On its front page, it says Saudi runaway leaves airport. Her name is Rahaf Mohammed Al Kunun. She was detained in Bangkok airport while in transit on her way to Australia, she says, to seek refuge from her abusive family in Kuwait. The 18-year-old had renounced Islam and ended up barricading herself in her hotel room at the airport, demanding that the UN step in to help her. Well, she's been granted temporary residency in Thailand and is said now to be under the protection of the UN.
Oh, she's also receiving a lot of support from the press.
That's right. This writer for The Independent really hailing her courage. This woman has gone to some extraordinary lengths to escape her family. The Independent hails her, quote, startling bravery because it has exposed Saudi's grim discrimination of women. The writer saying that the Save Rahaf hashtag should not just be a trend on Twitter. It should come as a message of hope to the many other women who also find themselves in this situation. Now, one thing that made this case so extraordinary is that it all played out on social media, in a sense, mainly Snapchat, actually, and that's what BuzzFeed is looking at. Al Kunun sent a friend called Noura a video of herself in Bangkok. The women have never actually met, but these two women, along with two others, have bonded over feminism on a messaging app called Telegram. And in fact, it was these three other women who ran a Twitter account relaying every 2 hours around the clock to live tweet about her situation, ultimately and successfully capturing the attention of the world. It's pretty incredible. Her bravery also in showing her face, in revealing her name and giving an image to what she says is this family abuse.
Right, well, away from that, here in France, an award-winning author has caused anger after saying he's not attracted to older women.
Those comments coming in a recent interview with Marie Claire magazine. The man in question is Yann Moix. He's an award-winning novelist, and he said in this interview that as a 50-year-old, he's not attracted to women over 50, that they're, quote, invisible to him, and that he prefers younger bodies, notably Asian women. Comments, as you can imagine, that have unleashed a torrent of tweets. One person here tweeting a collage of all the supposedly unattractive 50-year-old women that Mr. Moix is shunning. Hey, ladies, it's over for you. That's what this user says sarcastically. But it has prompted debate about how much attention we should really give to this. And this is something that Libération, the French left-leaning paper, is looking at. One writer here prefaces this article by saying that he's never read Moix's books. He's not a colleague. He doesn't really support him. But, I quote, doesn't he have the right to sleep with whomever he wants? That's the title of the article. The writer saying at least he was sincere, it's his freedom of expression, adding that when people can't be together because of race or because of sex or religion, that's a problem. That Moix doesn't want to sleep with older women, well, that's his problem.
All right, well, changing topics, scientists in Georgia are hoping to produce wine on Mars.
Well, you've got the Russians, the Americans, the Chinese in the space race. I guess Georgia really wanted to find its own angle in this topic. And, some are trying to grow vegetables and salad on Mars, nutritious stuff. Well, Georgia's Millennium Project is trying to develop grapevines in a lab, simulating conditions on Mars to see if the grapes will grow and if they can eventually produce wine. The Washington Post explains that Georgia Georgia has always claimed that its ancestors brought wine to Earth, so it seems fitting that it would now take wine to Mars. For info, Budweiser, the beer company, has already looked into microgravity beer on Mars, so I guess wine seemed the next logical step.
Of course. All right, and finally from you, a hapless burglar who received a rude awakening after a failed robbery.
That's right. This is really our story of the day. It's great. It's not great for him, though. This misguided man in Brazil tried to steal a phone from a woman who was waiting for a taxi in Rio de Janeiro, threatening her with a gun. The woman, her name is Poliana Viana. She's actually a martial arts champion. She called his bluff on the gun, which turned out to be made out of cardboard. She then gave him such a beating that he begged her to call the police, which she promptly did while restraining him in a chokehold. It's actually the second time that she's been attacked. The first time she managed to punch her would-be attacker and scare him off. Maybe the lesson is don't mess with this woman.
I think so, and maybe he'll think twice about trying to rob somebody else in the future. Dipti, thank you very much for our roundup of the papers there. And don't forget, if you do want to see more, you can always go online to our site at france24.com.